We've all dreamed about visiting a galaxy far, far away, haven't we? Star Wars locations that would be nightmare vacation spots are everywhere in the franchise, yet somehow fans keep romanticizing these death traps. Here's a mind-blowing truth. Nearly every iconic location we see on screen would kill you within hours of arrival. But here's what nobody admits. We'd still book the trip. The galaxy's most memorable destinations are memorable precisely because they're hostile, dangerous, and utterly inhospitable. Today, we're counting down 10 locations that look amazing on screen, but would turn your dream vacation into a survival nightmare. Let's kick things off with the most obviously terrible vacation destination in Star Wars history, Mustafar. This volcanic hellscape isn't just hot, it's literally a planet-wide ocean of lava with occasional rocky outcroppings. The average surface temperature hovers around 1900 degrees Celsius, meaning you'd combust before stepping off the landing platform. The atmosphere is so thick with sulfuric gases and volcanic ash that you'd need a full environmental suit just to breathe, and the corrosive compounds would eat through your equipment in hours. Here's where it gets interesting. Mustafar wasn't always this way. According to Legends continuity, it was actually a temperature garden world until ancient Sith lords pulled celestial bodies too close during a superweapon experiment, creating tidal waves that turned the entire planet into a geological nightmare. The canon explanation involves proximity to a gas giant, creating the same tidal heating effect we see on Jupiter's moon Io. The Separatists chose Mustafar specifically because it was so inhospitable nobody would look there. The mining facilities dotting the lava flows are architectural marvels using repulsor lift technology and heat-resistance durasteel alloys that barely withstand the temperatures. They process rare minerals that only form under extreme heat and pressure, making Mustafar economically valuable despite being literal hell. And this is where Anakin Skywalker became Darth Vader, so the dark side energy here is off the charts. Sensitive individuals would feel the echoes of that anguish and rage constantly. Still think lava surfing sounds fun? Just wait until you hear about our next frozen wasteland destination. From fire to ice, we arrive at Hoth, the frozen wasteland that makes Antarctica look like a tropical paradise. Average daytime temperature sits at negative 60 degrees Celsius during the warm season. At night, temperatures plummet to negative 200 degrees, cold enough to freeze carbon dioxide solid and turn your breath into ice crystals that would shred your lungs. The Rebel Alliance chose Hoth precisely because it was so miserable the Empire wouldn't expect anyone hiding there. The ice planet orbits a blue-white star at the edge of its habitable zone, receiving just enough radiation to maintain a thin atmosphere, but not enough to prevent permanent ice age. Legends material suggests Hoth wasn't always frozen. Ancient tectonic shifts gradually pushed it farther from its sun. But let's talk about the wildlife. Wampas evolved specifically to hunt in complete whiteout conditions using their acute sense of smell that lets them track prey through blizzards. They're ambush predators hanging from cave ceilings waiting for prey to pass beneath. Luke was incredibly lucky his Wampa hung him up for later rather than eating him immediately. Tauntauns are lizard analogs that evolved insulating fur and the ability to generate extreme body heat through metabolism that burns nutrients at an absurd rate. They literally smell terrible because their digestive system is so accelerated. Han Solo's decision to cut one open and stuff Luke inside wasn't just gross, it was medically brilliant. The ice caves dotting Hoth's surface are more dangerous than the surface itself. They're formed by geothermal vents beneath the ice sheet, creating temporary warm pockets that attract wildlife and create unstable ice formations that could collapse into subterranean lakes without warning. Next up, we're trading ice for twin suns and sandstorms for a planet producing the galaxy's most important people. Tatooine, the desert planet everyone knows and almost nobody would actually want to visit. This backwater sandball orbits two suns, Tatoo 1 and Tatoo 2, creating double-dose radiation exposure that would have you developing melanoma before you could say, these aren't the droids you're looking for. Here's the controversial take. Tatooine is dying. Geographical surveys indicate it was once an ocean world with thriving ecosystems. The twin suns gradually evaporated the oceans over millions of years. Those crate dragon skeletons, they're likely evolutionary descendants of marine creatures that adapted before going extinct. The few settlements cling to moisture farms and depleting underground aquifers. Moisture farming pulls water molecules from the atmosphere using vaporators. It's technically impressive, but economically terrible, producing barely enough water to sustain small populations. The Tusken Raiders are perfectly adapted to Tatooine's environment. Their wrappings are sophisticated moisture retention suits recycling every drop of perspiration. Their cycler rifles fire projectile ammunition because metal slugs work more reliably in sandstorms than blaster bolts. They're not primitives, they're survivors who watch their world die. The Hutt cartel's stranglehold makes it worse. Jabba controlled everything from spice smuggling to slavery. Mos Eisley isn't charming, it's a criminal front where murder is casual. Those Sarlacc pits? Multiple specimens exist across Tatooine. These creatures live for thousands of years, digesting prey so slowly victims remain conscious throughout. The Great Pit of Carcoon's Sarlacc has been alive for at least 20,000 years. Think desert heat is unbearable? Wait until you experience the humid nightmare where even the planets want you dead. Dagobah represents everything wrong with swamp planets cranked to 11. This bog world is 98% murky water, toxic plant life, and aggressive wildlife. Humidity hovers at constant 100%, meaning clothes never dry and every breath feels like drowning in lukewarm soup. The atmosphere includes trace methane from decomposing matter, giving the planet a perpetual smell of rot. The force is unusually strong on Dagobah, but not peacefully. The planet has a dark side cave created thousands of years before when an ancient Sith Lord died there. Yoda specifically chose Dagobah because the dark side presence would mask his force signature from Palpatine. The ecosystem is nightmarish. Everything eats everything else in constant predation. Those gnarl trees are semi-sentient and carnivorous, supplementing photosynthesis with nutrients from creatures dying in their roots. Swamp slugs are apex predators, secreting paralactic toxins and growing large enough to swallow Luke's X-Wing. Dragon snakes hunt by vibration sensing in murky water. Yoda's survival for over 20 years is testament to his force mastery, because normal humans would die within weeks. The water contains parasites causing catastrophic dysentery. Plant life is largely poisonous. Yoda used the force to identify safe food sources. There's nowhere to build permanent structures on stable ground. Everything is muddy, shifting terrain requiring constant maintenance. Think swamps are bad? Next up, we're visiting insect coliseums on a planet that committed industrial-scale genocide. Geonosis, the bug planet that launched the Clone Wars, is a nightmare on every level. This arid, rocky world orbits a binary star system, bathing the surface in harsh radiation during day and freezing cold at night. Temperature swings from 50 degrees Celsius in daylight to negative 20 at night, creating thermal stress that would crack rocks and definitely crack your resolve. The Geonosians are one of the most fascinating and disturbing species in Star Wars. These insectoid beings live in massive underground hive societies with rigid caste systems, making individuality almost impossible. Drones are biological automatons, bred for manual labor and incapable of higher reasoning. Warriors are engineered for aggression and hive loyalty. Only the aristocratic caste shows true sentience, operating on hive mind principles alien and terrifying to humans. Here's the controversial part. Geonosians were essentially enslaved by the Confederacy to build the first Death Star. The execution chambers and battle arenas weren't just entertainment, they were population control and combat droid test beds. Count Dooku exploited their engineering talent, setting up droid factories churning out billions of battle droids. When the Empire rose, they didn't need Geonosians anymore. Canon confirms the Empire sterilized the entire species through orbital bombardment and biological weapons, committing genocide to protect Death Star secrecy. The execution area where Anakin, Padme, and Obi-Wan faced the Reek, Nexu, and Ackley wasn't a rare spectacle. These imported beasts provided regular Geonosian entertainment consisting of watching creatures fight to the death. The arena's design suggests these events happen regularly, with entire social structure built around gladiatorial combat as sport and judicial punishment. The industrial infrastructure is equally horrifying. Foundries building battle droids operated at temperatures vaporizing human flesh. Geonosians evolved natural resistance to heat and toxic fumes, working in conditions requiring humans to wear environmental suits that would fail within hours. Ready for something worse? Next, we're visiting a planet where slavery isn't just practiced, it's literally the entire economy. Kessel makes every other nightmare location look pleasant. This barren rock has irregular orbit, creating gravitational anomalies, requiring expert pilots to navigate the Kessel Run through nearby black holes. The spice mines are prison camps where enslaved beings extract glitterstim spice until they die. Glitterstim spice is fascinating and terrible. This psychoactive mineral forms in complete darkness underground, and light exposure causes it to disintegrate. When consumed, it creates brief telepathic abilities and intense euphoria, making it the galaxy's most valuable and addictive substance. Mining involves working in absolute darkness, only by touch, and miners are frequently blinded or develop severe claustrophobia. The planet has almost no atmosphere. The thin air is maintained artificially by atmosphere processors constantly on the verge of failure. If those processors shut down, everyone would asphyxiate within hours. Operations deliberately kept processors barely functional as additional control, ensuring escape meant death from oxygen deprivation. The Pike Syndicate controlling Kessel makes the Hutts look benevolent. These beings view slavery as efficient business and treat workers as disposable. Mortality rate in the mines is astronomical, with most slaves dying within months. The energy spiders appearing in Solo evolved from smaller creatures feeding on glitterstim deposits. They've grown enormous and developed a taste for humanoid flesh, making them both mining hazards and convenient disposal methods. Think mining operations are nightmarish? Our next location has an entire Sith fleet hiding in eternal storms. Exegol exists solely to make you question every life choice that led to considering it a destination. This hidden Sith world lurks in the unknown regions, surrounded by navigation-disrupting anomalies and gravitational disturbances, making it nearly impossible to find without a wayfinder. The planet is locked in perpetual storms created by the darkside nexus at its core, meaning you'd arrive during a lightning storm and leave during a lightning storm, assuming you survive. The atmosphere is toxic with sulfuric compounds and electrical interference so severe most technology fails without heavy shielding. The Sith Eternal built their civilization entirely underground in massive cathedral-like chambers carved from bedrock. These aren't cozy bunkers, they're industrial facilities designed to clone bodies, build star destroyers, and conduct darkside rituals that would drive normal people insane. Here's the real horror: Palpatine's cloning program. The technology to transfer consciousness between bodies is ancient Sith knowledge, but it's imperfect and horrifying. Clone bodies degrade rapidly, requiring constant replacement and forcing the user to exist in constant decay. Palpatine in The Rise of Skywalker, suspended by machinery and clearly dying even as he lives, is the reality of Exejal's primary function. The Sith loyalists populating Exegel are fanatics who've lived their entire lives in darkness, worshipping Sith teachings and viewing the dark side as religion. They're not soldiers, they're zealots who would gladly die for galactic domination. Those Sith Star Destroyers were built entirely on Exegel using enslaved labor and automated manufacturing on unbelievable scale. Each destroyer carries a planet-destroying super laser. The logistics of building thousands in secret requires resources that could have uplifted entire star systems, diverted instead to mass destruction weapons. But if darkside corruption scares you, our next planet has witches using the Force in terrifying new ways. Dathomir is what happens when you take a beautiful forest world and corrupt it with generations of darkside magic until the planet itself becomes hostile. This eerie world features blood-red soil, twisted forests that seem to actively menace visitors, an ecology dominated by apex predators evolved alongside Force-using witches. The Night Sisters developed magic traditions, blending shamanism with darkside manipulations in ways distinctly different from and arguably more disturbing than Sith practices. The landscape is gorgeous in deeply unsettling ways. Those gnarled forests with red and purple foliage aren't natural colors. They're the result of centuries of magic seeping into the ecosystem and changing plant biology fundamentally. The fog perpetually shrouding lowlands isn't water vapor, but concentrated darkside energy made visible, creating an atmosphere of dread affecting even non-Force sensitive individuals. Here's what makes Dathomir truly nightmarish: the Night Sisters' approach to the Force. Rather than channeling energy through meditation like Jedi or Sith, they use ritualistic magic involving incantations, talismans, and blood sacrifice. Mother Talzin could manipulate reality itself through these rituals, creating illusions so convincing they could fool experienced Jedi. She could possess other beings, transferring her consciousness into their bodies and controlling them like puppets. The Night Brothers, Dathomir's male population, live in a completely separate society from Night Sisters and exist in permanent subjugation. These Zabrak warriors, including Darth Maul before his abduction by Palpatine, are treated as breeding stock and occasional disposable warriors. Night Sisters select the strongest males for mating and combat training while ignoring the rest, creating a gender-divided society that would horrify most civilized cultures. The Rancors are actually native to Dathomir. On their homeworld, they're not monsters, but domesticated creatures Night Sisters raise from birth, using magic to bond with them psychologically. A Night Sister riding a Rancor is basically piloting a heavy tank with perfect telepathic communication. Think witches and monsters are bad? Next up, perpetual darkness and plant life that'll make you miss sunlight forever. Umbara. Umbara is a planet existing in perpetual twilight, orbiting its sun at such distance that true daylight never occurs. The dim, ghostly illumination creates an environment where plants evolved bioluminescence to photosynthesize, resulting in forests glowing with eerie colors that would be beautiful if they weren't so threatening. This dark jewel of the galaxy is actually a strategic nightmare where native Umbarans used their natural adaptations to create one of the Clone Wars' most brutal battles. The Umbarans are near humans with massive eyes adapted to low light conditions, giving them superior vision in darkness, but making bright light physically painful. They're naturally talented with technology and warfare, developing weapons and vehicles incorporating stealth capabilities and advanced targeting systems. Their culture values cunning and deception, viewing straightforward conflict as crude. The Battle of Umbara showcased the planet's horrifying defensive capabilities. The native flora isn't just bioluminescent, it's actively carnivorous and mobile. The Vixus is basically a mobile Venus flytrap the size of a small building that actively hunts prey using vine-like tendrils that can grab and consume entire squads. The Millicreep creatures are insectoid predators swarming in thousands, stripping flesh from bone in minutes. The Umbarans' military technology is terrifying. Their starfighters use stealth systems, making them nearly invisible to advanced sensors. Their mobile heavy cannons can shoot down spacecraft from the surface with terrifying accuracy. Atmospheric conditions naturally interfere with scanning equipment, giving defenders a massive home field advantage. Clone troopers fought in conditions where they couldn't see more than a few meters, while Umbarans picked them off with impunity. After the Umbaran rebellion was crushed, the planet was placed under permanent Imperial occupation. The Umbarans' technology expertise made them valuable to the Empire's military-industrial complex, but their rebellious nature meant constant surveillance and brutal suppression of any dissent. Ready for the finale? Our last destination weaponized architecture and turned knowledge itself into a corrupting trap. Malachor represents the absolute apex of nightmare vacation destinations, a planet so thoroughly destroyed by ancient superweapons that it exists as a monument to the dark side's ultimate destructiveness. The planetary surface is a desert of petrified corpses, thousands upon thousands of beings frozen mid-battle by a superweapon that turned them to stone instantly. These aren't statues, they're actual people, their final moments of terror captured forever in calcified horror. The Sith Temple at Malachor's core is one of the most dangerous structures in Star Wars lore. It's not just a building, it's a giant superweapon designed as a trap for Jedi. The temple requires Force users to activate it, but doing so corrupts them with concentrated darkside energy while simultaneously powering up planet-destroying capabilities. The architecture itself is hostile, with pathways that shift and change, darkside guardians that attack intruders, and general atmosphere of malevolence that would drive even experienced Jedi toward darkness. Here's the terrifying history. Malachor was the site of one of the galaxy's most catastrophic battles between ancient Jedi and Sith forces. The superweapon activated during this battle, creating an energy wave that petrified every living being on the surface instantly. Legend's continuity suggests the weapon created a gravitational anomaly that fractured the planet into pieces. The Inquisitors, those darkside Force users serving the Empire hunting Jedi survivors, sought out Malachor for its knowledge. They studied the Sith Temple's holocrons and learned darkside techniques from ancient recordings. The planet's corruption was so complete that mere exposure would begin turning Force-sensitive individuals toward darkness. The atmospheric composition is barely breathable even thousands of years after the cataclysm, containing trace amounts of the superweapon's energy discharge, causing cellular damage with prolonged exposure. The entire planet is basically a radioactive wasteland where the radiation is darkside energy. So there you have it, folks. 10 Star Wars locations that look amazing on screen, but would absolutely ruin any vacation you tried to take there. From Mustafar's lava flows to Malachor's petrified armies, these destinations prove the galaxy far, far away is far better experienced from your couch than in person. Next time you're watching Star Wars thinking, I'd love to visit that place, remember that between hostile wildlife, environmental extremes, criminal organizations, and darkside corruptions, most locations would kill you before you could take a decent holo photo. If you enjoyed this nightmare tour through the galaxy's worst vacation spots, check out the video linked in the description for more Star Wars deep dives. If you survived this journey through the galaxy's most inhospitable locations, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss another expedition into Star Wars lore. These places might be terrible to visit, but they're absolutely fascinating to explore from a safe distance. May the Force be with you, and may your vacation planning never include any of these nightmare worlds. Thanks for watching.